All right, we're back on call, on location with my Morehouse Brothers, and we all freshened up, got a nice drink in front of us. So, this is what I want to talk about. So, amongst us, we have divorcees, we have current married people, we have freshly engaged people, we have people in long-term relationships. So, I want us to sit and give a good talk to females and some of the males out in the audience. For one, the number one question I want to address first is, what is cheating?
Okay, I'm gonna start there because to me, I personally think emotional cheating is worse than physical cheating. I think that we have a tendency to give a greater.
What is emotional cheating?
Emotional cheating is all the little things to get up to the real cheating. Yeah. That's the warm up. Emotional cheating is the good morning. You know what I mean? It's 8:32. You know, so I say, how you doing? Emotional cheating is all the things that the intangibles that aren't physical, really, that can lead up to the physical. I think the physical cheating is actually not as bad, but generally speaking, it takes all the emotions to get to that point. If it was just physical, whether I see you tomorrow or not, it doesn't really matter. It has no impact into the real life. But the emotional stuff is a genuine connection. Like we're brothers. We have an emotional connection to one another. If I don't see y'all after a period of time, if I don't talk to y'all, I'm gonna be like, yo, you good?
Jason, do women cheat more than men, or men cheat more than women? And is it based on emotional and physical cheating? Is it someone's?
Good question. I mean, I don't know who cheats more. I would imagine men get caught more. I don't know who cheats more. But what I would say on this cheating topic, right? Like, it's the obvious. There's the obvious cheating where, okay, if someone's going out with the opposite sex and then they end up having sex or whatever, yeah, that's obvious cheating. But for those of you who think you can be friends with the opposite sex, and that doesn't put you in the position to lead to cheating, you're fooling yourself. Because I don't even care if it's a genuine friendship and y'all are cool like that, right? And I'm not talking about the friend from high school or college that you see once a year or something like that. I'm talking about a friendship that you're communicating with on a regular basis, right? And the moment one of you guys have a vulnerable moment, whether he just got dumped with his girl or his girl was cheating on him or the vice versa with her, and then you guys are, spilling your guts to each other and then you get closer, okay, that happens. So it's all about not putting yourself in that position, right? If you want to keep it real, right? Or just be real with yourself and be like, no, I'm going to have male friends, but no, that is an option. That might go down, and some people might look at that like you're putting yourself in that position, so you're open to it. So if you're open to it, I might not be down with it. You just got to live with that.
I think the broader question that comes up when you think about cheating and infidelity too is like, how open can you be within that relationship, right? I mean, and I'm not talking about open in terms of like, right, having open relationships. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about like being able to acknowledge that you may be with your partner, but there is a world full of attraction, right? And I think that a lot of couples just don't have those open conversations with themselves about, like if my girl's walking through the grocery store and I'm with her, right? Then that policing occurs where it's like, don't look at that woman walking past you. That's obviously attractive, right? When that's just the reality of the world. Like you're going to be around people that are fascinating, that are attractive, right? And it can lead to cheating, but I think the core of it is that like we're not acknowledging, right, that the opposite sex to men and women is attractive, right? And being able to have that space to where you acknowledge that within a relationship. And and a lot of these relationships you know, that lead to infidelity, it starts because, like, I'm not being able to just say, like, this person's attractive, let's move on with the rest of our day, right? It then goes from that attraction to, in my view, like, curiosity about a particular person. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, it builds up.
To your point, all of us guys would agree right now. They love a girl where we're walking through a grocery store and she'll take the pressure off you and be like, damn, that girl's ass is fat. Like, we all love that. We're like, woo! I can look comfortably. You know, but that's still your point. Like, we have to acknowledge that, yeah, we're going to be attractive. I'm not going to be like, yeah, his abs are tight. That's not like that. But if I'm with you, I ain't even sweating my girl or any girl I'm with like that to looking at. So, like, whatever. I don't even notice that. You know, but.
Clinton, I got a question. Is monogamy natural?
No.
That was a point. I'll let you piggyback
I apologize.
No, go further into the
Nope.
You better, your partners might be watching this.
Nah, that I still give the answer is
He
jumped up so quickly. No,
I ain't worried about you. Yeah, this ass.
I wanted to be no. I'm natural in the sense that not from a like human evolution person perspective, but I think from a societal perspective, I think we've been conditioned to embrace monogamy as the tried and true way of having a successful and healthy relationship. That the other options are not even on the table for exploration to say maybe for us, this particular condition might not work best for us. We might discover that having an open relationship or having a situation where we have a lot more freedom is something that creates a lot of healthy repercussions from that. And I don't think that that's talked about enough. We've just accepted monogamy as being like, hey, you know, this is what we've seen, this is all we know. And not just this is all we know, but if we even bring up the other options, there are multiple options that we could bring up, it's automatically just shut down. Like, I'm not even going to entertain that because that option will require a level of emotional maturity. Not that monogamy is immature, I want to make that clear. But even to entertain these other questions requires a level of emotional maturity. Most people have never been in a situation where they can even sit down and have a conversation at the beginning of their relationship and say, you know what, let's put all the options on the table and see what works best for us. And let's have a real honest conversation. You know, some guys or some women might say, you know what, I really thrive and I'm able to have a lot of different people, not necessarily saying partners like sexual intimate partners, but just people, just an exchange of energy. Mm-hmm. And some people are like, nope, I just need it to be X, Y, and Z. But we can't even get to the place of having the conversation itself to even figure out what might work for our situation. Right. You usually discover it once crisis happens. Right. And then you come face to face with, well, really the whole time I just wanted to be in an open relationship and you've been together for 22 years, you know? And it's like, it took the crisis to even be able to put it on the table and say, you know, could we do this? And then you find out your partner might have been with it the whole time. But who has the courage
Pissed off if that was the case. We could have been on this for 20 years.
Go ahead, Shakir. You
right, yeah, since you jumped in. So.
No, Quinn is just more eloquent than me. So he explained my sentiment in just a much better.
That's what the no man.
he explained it in a much better fashion. I'm definitely not as good at explaining things as Q is. So to me, I just feel like, listen, y'all know me. I love crab, yo. I can't eat it every day.
Nah,
It's
you're a big
just-
seafood dude for sure.
I'm a seafood dude. I still can't eat it every day. I want
That
a steak.
fish.
I want some whatever. I want something else. I feel like monogamy is the same way. You know, it takes a whole lot of effort to experience the same things over, and it takes a lot of creativity. It takes a lot of energy to experience the same things over and over with somebody. Y'all are our only friends. You know what I mean? And you know, I've known Quentin for long. Right. I've known Quentin for more than probably half my life. So I feel like it doesn't. It's not natural. It just makes the most sense.
But
and back to what Quentin said. It takes, in order to have a seriously grounded, you know, monogamous relationship or one that's open, the amount of emotional maturity it takes to jump out there and do something that nutty, none of us are built that way. You know what I mean? Like it takes an enormous amount of emotional maturity to be that ratchet. I'm gonna say, because it's not really ratchet. You know
But
what I mean?
it's how people get down with monogamy, right? Because some folks think monogamy is you have to do every single thing with that partner. And that's where it gets exhausting.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now, if you're in a monogamous relationship where you could let your girl or your guy go out with their friends, live their own life, so you could miss them a little bit, you know, send them a little text like when you get home,
Right,
you know what
right,
I'm saying?
right.
Shit like that. That's whole, I have friends and know people who they can't do nothing without their significant other. They can't go out to dinner, they can't go grab a drink, they can't do not one thing. And that monogamous relationship, for one, is one that I'm not getting down.
But
for two, it's exhausting
under
itself.
the same sex, like they have to go out with a person of the same sex. Because based on what you just said earlier, they can't have friends of the opposite sex.
Yeah, but naturally, if I'm hanging out, I'm hanging out with you guys as my core, and then if something else kind of infiltrates my core, that is what it is. It ain't like that was my reason for hanging out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what. But and I'm not a fool to know any girl I deal with. My girl is fine as hell. If she gonna go out, she's attractive. You know what I'm saying? And she's gonna get looks, and I don't know if a nigga buys her drinks, if she accepts it or not. She tells me one thing, I don't know. But I know I would have grabbed her a drink, and I'm sure there's people out there as slick as me that's gonna do that shit. Am I getting all bent out of shape out of that? No. It's how I rock with monogamy, right? Like you go do your thing, you go have your fun for the night, whatever. I don't care.
I think you go crazy trying to control
Yeah.
what another person
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
You cannot control no matter how hard you try, no matter how many passcodes you get to their phone, no matter how much you try to control their schedule, you cannot control what they're gonna do. If someone wants to do something, they're gonna do it. So, you might as well not put yourself into that psychotic state trying to control it.
You giving up your passcode?
I don't give a Well, bro, I got a question for you. So in this conversation of cheating, monogamy, I want to bring in the concept of marriage. And the concept of marriage as a whole, is it an outdated concept, or does it still have some relevance in modern society?
So I think it still has relevance in society. I think especially for just black people. I mean, to show the power of black love, and black unity. I think that marriage is still one of the more timeless elements of what it means to just be us and celebrate us. So I think that in thinking about black love and what we need to survive as a people, I think that marriage is very essential. I think one of the things that we're fighting against though is the norm that again, that we can't be married and have a healthy relationship, right? I mean, even in, what we watch on television, there's always like Married to Medicine or some show that shows the dysfunction of relationships, right? And that's kind of conditioned people to understand like relationships and the concept of marriage is something that's fleeting, not something that, again, we can go through our respective struggles as a couple and then see marriage not just as a beginning. Like, you know, most people see marriage and relationships as an end goal. Like, right now we're married, right? So then, right, they don't see like the building out of the longevity that then comes from, right, being married and the work it requires. You know what I mean? So for me, I think that, you know, my decision to get married is I want to see what that looks like. Right? I know what being single looks like. I know what dating looks like. But my decision to get married is because I want to see what that longevity and that durability with that same person looks like and how it evolves over time. But also, most importantly, how it grows me. You can't grow by yourself. There's a certain threshold that we all reach when you're trying to grow by yourself. And I think that marriage is another dimension, you know, of just Black people being able to explore the best of themselves, but also do it with someone else.
Mm-hmm. It's
So I
kind
think
of
that
like, it's kind of like, to our earlier conversation, going to an HBCU. It's what it positions you for, right? So we all know HBCUs put out the most Black doctors, lawyers, the most engineers, the business students going to the top 20 MBA schools, right? It positions you for success, right? If you look at the stats on marriage, and whether you're a big marriage guy or not, or religious person or not, if you believe that, the stats are undeniable. If you come from a married household, right, you're positioned more for success as the child, the family coming up from that, by like tenfold. Like the stats are ridiculous. If you're married versus unmarried, that determines what your wealth's gonna be, what your criminal status gonna be, like a whole bunch of things, right? So
But I wonder if that data is skewed because you just have two loving people in the household.
No, but I think that it's
Like, do you have to be married to have a loving unit in the house?
well, the marriage thing makes you not flee when shit gets tough. That's what that is.
Not necessarily, because a lot of married, and I've heard married people say this, that there is nothing in this situation that will prevent me from leaving.
no,
When I
it's
wanna-
But it's
To
an
me,
extra hurdle. It's an extra hurdle.
It's a
The fact it's an
completely
extra
different
hurdle.
level
Yeah.
of accountability. Like we came, whether I like you today, we came together for something greater than both of us. Hopefully, you know what I mean, like we came together to make this child. We came together to try to. So I think when you're doing things in the spirit of that, just like Black people, we came together at an HBCU for something. It wasn't for us. It was something greater than us. So that it gives us a different type of energy about it, and that like my daughter is a fruit of that labor. Whether I talk to her mother today or tomorrow, whether we like each other today or tomorrow, you know, we both are pouring into her from a completely different perspective. You know what I mean? So, you know, and no matter what happens today, tomorrow, there was an energy that we put together for this child. So I think Jason is saying it right. There's a different energy about it. It's a deliberate energy. You know what I mean? It's a thoughtful energy.
Yeah.
Quinn, I want to go back to the topic when we was touching a little bit on cheating. What advice would you give a woman who has a guy that she's crazy about, and that she's discovered that he's cheated on her, but he wants to make it work with her? What advice would you give to that woman? And everybody else can
Oh,
touch on
wow. So she's discovered that he cheated.
it. Mm-hmm.
He wants to make it work. Does she want to make it work?
This is the question.
This is the question. I didn't know if it was after she had already made a decision. I would say to, I would probably say figure out a new way. I don't want to say new. Figure out an alternative way to communicate. A lot of the disruption that usually happens that creates the tension and the fractures in the relationship have to do, in my opinion, with two things: with the disruption in communication and the disruption in a sense of affirmation in the relationship. Oftentimes, if someone steps out, there is an experience of affirmation that they are getting from wherever it is that they're going to go get it from. That affirmation could be in just an immediate moment of like intercourse or whatever the case may be, or that affirmation might be in, man, you really killed that presentation today because, I work in the same space with you. I was there with you. I saw it. And they send you a text and say, yo, you crushed it today. And then you go home and you tell your partner about the presentation, and your partner doesn't say anything. Or they may point out the things that they saw that didn't work well. You're starting to hold those things in tension like, man, this feels good over here. And that feeling good opens the door. And so what can usually happen in that moment where the woman is trying to make a decision to either work things out, she has to ask herself, I think, some questions about what does this new idea of communication look like, and how can we reframe affirmation in the course of our entire relationship? Because it's not one-sided. It's not just a person stepped out, I need to now affirm them more to now prevent them from stepping out again. But maybe we need to have a conversation that says, we've been approaching how each of us understands what that feeling of affirmation feels like for us. Not just in word, but in action, but not just in action, also in words, which can get lost sometimes in the process. So I don't know if, at least I hear that as much in people that in situations that I know where either someone steps out and it happens on the other side too, if the woman steps out and the guy is trying to figure out, because there's also that ego piece. He's trying to figure out, can I work it out with the woman who slept with so-and-so and did X, Y, and Z with so-and-so? And then how are people going to look at me?
X, Y, and Z too. They just said X.
X and Y was enough, but Z was the one that
No,
put me over the
but
side.
in simpler terms, I think what Q is saying too is like when someone cheats, the blame automatically goes on the cheater, and that cheater is deservedly so for some of that blame. But what he's saying to that person who's asking, I think a female in that situation is, what accountability are you taking? Like what accountability might have led to that cheating? Whether the way you communicate, this, that, and the third, and you might have been cool, and he might have just been on some dumb shit, but you have to honestly look yourself in the mirror. If you want things to work out and be like, what accountability can I take? What can I do differently? And am I willing to do that differently to make this work? If you're not, then off top, it ain't gonna work, And then you need to know if that's the case, or you just picked a bum, not even a bum, just someone who's gonna be on some cheater shit. And you know that too. You know what I'm saying? You know if you had something to do with it or not. And so you have to be real with that and take the blinders off your eyes and know no matter what your significant other tells you, if he a cheater or she a cheater, they a cheater. They're gonna do that. So,
but also too, man, to that point, I think part of it is, let's just dial it back a little bit. I think that, among us, especially as black people, like we have trouble learning how to actually effectively date people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's always like this sudden jump into relationships where you really don't create the space to even know, right, how your, significant other moves in terms of their character. To Jason's point, you might just meet a bum ass dude, but you overwhelmed by him in the first 2 months, y'all been intimate. So then, right, those things are kind of like, they gloss over the person that they are. Rather than taking that time, maybe dating that person, courting that person, as they say, right, to then understand the dynamics of the fullness of who they are, right? Because you can't, be an actor, or front, right? you know, 3 months. I mean, you know, 6 months after you've known somebody, the authentic you then starts to show.
Yeah.
And I think
Dates
a lot of that.
for some time.
Yeah,
Dates,
yeah.
6 months, 8 months.
I add to that.
Yeah.
I've been in situations where I thought I knew that this is what I wanted until
Yeah.
I was with that.
And then
for a
for
while.
an
extended amount of time.
I don't want.
Right. But that's the thing, right? There's always this fascination with, like, you know, especially with us, because, you know, as a people, like, we enjoy the security of each other. You know what I mean? Just as black people. So part of it too is that, you know, relationships feel natural to us. You know, because we come from that. We long for that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you think about our white counterparts, like, you know, when I was in grad school, Becky didn't mind dating whoever, right? And then finding that person later on. Like, they, you know, I mean, you know, we look bad at women when they say, all right, I've been through some whole phase, right? You know what I mean? But, you know, if we think about it on the other flip side of the coin, like, that's what white girls do, like, essentially, right? I mean, this is what they do. They go through the phase where it's like, I was dating Steven last week, you know, then I saw him in the club kissing Marcy. You know what I'm saying?
I
And
know
now
some
I'm over
sisters
here.
who do that.
I'm just saying. But what I'm saying is the stigma that comes with that, right? Whereas really, like, we're just exploring what it means, right? To date different people, see what we like, see what we don't like.
So let
We
okay.
just,
So,
we're figuring out ourselves. I'm sorry, Keith.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, you're right. We have to take a moment to figure out who we
Yeah.
are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And I think at the same time, it's important. We would do a disservice if we don't mention the other side of the coin. And the other side of the coin, which is sometimes hard to hear for the partner, is that the cheating and the infidelity has nothing to do with them.
True.
The cheating and the infidelity sometimes just has to
Only
do with our
internal.
own shit that we have not unpacked,
Yeah.
ways that we have not dealt with our own insecurities and self-esteem issues and all these other things where it can't, you know, the partner can't help but feel like it had to be something wrong with me for you to do X, Y, and Z. And sometimes we just broken and we make a decision to do something that responds to that brokenness, and we haven't done the work of healing from whatever it was that we feel we need to go out and get this sort of impulsive response in the cheating to try to fix and heal the thing that if we just did the work in therapy and other places that we need to do the work, we wouldn't hurt the people that we loved and cared about.
And
it's
I will add this. Sometimes, no, it's your fault. You knew I was into a certain thing. When we got together, you was all about it. But then, now we together, you go say you ain't into it. Right. Well, now I'm about to go get it. I'm about to put the link on. I wanted to be in it with you.
I'm not I like the deep shit.
But I think what we're saying is that, especially with blacks, like, we never had.
That sounded so racist.
No, with black people, we never had the luxury to just fucking have relationship shit figured out by the time we was approaching one.
Yeah.
You know, we had so much other shit we're dealing with.
Right.
The relationship stuff was a lot. Like, you know, we just had other shit.
Come on, I got this other shit.
And so we just figured, oh, this is easy. We jump right into it. But no, that shit takes work. But none of us, we didn't have the mentorship or the knowledge or the luxury, whatever you want to call it, to know that beforehand.
Yeah.
And we hit it like a hurricane. And you need to be delicate.
Yeah.
You know, with a relationship. Yeah, you know, I'm delicate with my relationships.
Well, hey, fellas, I would just like to thank you all again. I think this was very informative. I think we might have, given a lot more information. Maybe you guys have to explain a couple of things when you go home.
Nothing wrong with monogamy.
You done fucked that up.
No. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Cheers.